People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good morning, I hope you're all doing well and safe, whoever you are, wherever you are. Now, yesterday we drew a goal apiece to Leicester. Arsenal won, Leicester won, and I'd like to go over the game again after watching it again. And there are some things we can learn from. On reflection, I feel we did well in the first 10 minutes because Leicester could have scored, really. But I actually feel Leicester had the majority of possession. They didn't do much with it, really. They were knocking on the door. We will speak about it. Vardy was knocking on the door. But really what changed the game in our favour is Eddie Nketiah sending off. I'm not placing the blame at Eddie or Arteta for bringing him on. I believe that changed the game because they were knocking on the door. But 11 versus 11, we probably walk away with it. We were sitting in penned. We was holding our lead, sort of thing. That red card then inspired Rodgers to say, do you know what, Bennett, come off. I'm going to bring on Demarai Gray. And Demarai Gray obviously set up Vardy. And to be fair, that goal was coming from Vardy, I will say, because he was working hard all game, pressing hard all game, and most importantly, working the channels all game. I think Leicester, as you lot know, they kind of lined up in a 3-5-1-2 sort of thing. They had Perez here, and they had Vardy and Kelechi in real time. Obviously, if we were to start the move, if it was a goal kick, you probably had Vardy pressing more to the left hand side, and you had Kelechi there, and you had Perez there. And on the topic of Vardy, all game, people, what did you see? You saw him on the last shoulder. You saw him in between. In fact, this is where his goal comes from. He gets in, but Joe Willock's actually there as well. But he gets in between Mustafi and Bellerin and is able to pounce. And he actually was knocking on the door up with these sort of opportunities all game, really. He was knocking on the door. There was a couple of times where I think David Luiz lost him once, and there was a couple of incidences where Vardy was getting close. There was one where he was offside. I'm sure you will remember. There was one that almost identical but different. The ball fell to him in the second half and he couldn't quite wrap his left foot around it. So before the game I said you've got to be prepared to play against Vardy. Vardy's aggressive. You saw him pressing high. You saw him working the channels. Any opportunity, he was here. Any opportunity with the ball in play, he was on the last shoulder. And I think relatively we did all right in that regards, people. I'm not going to lie. I feel in the first 10 minutes we kind of struggled to get out of our own half and we couldn't beat their press, Leicester's press. And we were just giving the ball back to them. But after that, I think we did very well. If we look at their shape of sorts, people, and put everybody back for a sec, it was more or less still it was a tactical change in my opinion, but it weren't really the biggest of changes from Leicester. Now I feel Albrighton did it, someone who you'd expect to really put in a shift defensively. I don't feel he got back enough and helped out Soyuncu, which is why you saw Bellerin and Bukayo Saka linking up very well after the first 10 minutes. Obviously one highlight has to be obviously the way Saka, Aubameyang and Lacazette looked on the counter attack. We looked very good on the counter attack in numerous incidences, and there were several times Lacazette had a couple of opportunities to score. Saka forced a couple corners as well, and I even think Bellerin had a chance. We looked all right when these three were on the counter attack. When Bellerin was gone, sort of thing. When Tierney was gone, Xhaka helps to press as well in that incident, and you have Ceballos. In fact, they alternate. We kind of had them under ropes, and you really wanted us to take more advantage of that, really and truly. And to be fair, our goal was a very good goal, man. It was a lovely sequences of passes. Obviously, the highlight being Danny Ceballos, not to scale, but Danny Ceballos clips it into Saka. Again, Albrighton is not helping out Soyuncu, who's more or less pulls out to the left hand side in games anyway, which is why I think Rodgers did that. And I think if Chilwell was there would have been more of a help. But Albrighton's not getting back. You've got Bellerin and Saka. Soyuncu can't do anything in that space. Soyuncu, I don't think he's playing as bad as the commentators are acting. I think he's holding it up. But either way, we get in. We're playing well. We get in. It squares to Aubameyang and he gets his 20th goal. We could have scored more. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. We get it, people. But we can only deal with the facts of which we didn't. I'm actually not vexed with our performance. It's just, again, we've dropped 3 points from goal scoring, from holding the lead. We had goal scoring opportunities and we didn't take advantage of that. But beyond that, I can't really be upset. I mean, Vardy was knocking on the door as well, and obviously Kelechi scored an offside goal, but that showed you what happens when you lose the ball in dumb areas. I feel both teams look good on the counter, but focusing on Arsenal, like I said, one highlight has to be Saka, Aubameyang and even Lacazette. They linked up very well. Obviously, Tierney played well as Ceballos, and they contributed as well. I was impressed with the goal. What else is there to speak about? We only really gave Leicester half chances, but they were half chances that would scare us, and you felt that it was brewing. we failed to make our pressure last, because I feel both teams were there for the counter attack. You saw a couple of times with Leicester and Arsenal at a point we looked unstoppable, and in short we needed more goals, people. Like I said, we switched off for the goal we conceded and we exploited them very well. I think what changed the game really and truly for the goal they scored is, like, naturally we're down to 10 men now. It's the last couple of minutes. We want the 3 points, so we're staying in. You know, we're becoming more of a back five. You know, we had slight changes. Torreira's come in and there's Joe. Not to scale people, but just to highlight the point. We're getting men behind the ball. Like, we're down to 10 men as well. We're trying to get men behind the ball. Let's just say you're gone. We're trying to get men behind the ball, but we're starting to tire. And obviously, what I mean by that red card changing the game is it is a red card. It's not intentional by Eddie. I do believe it's not a red card, but I can't. It's one of them. I think it's a harsh red card, but you can't disagree with it. It is a red card. His feet are high. You know, maybe a bit of an over enthusiasm from Eddie. I don't think there's any malice, but I do think it's a red card. Really and truly, as Arsenal fans, I know the two are not correlated, but you can't say Mupé should have got a red card against Brighton, but you're saying this one isn't intentional. We need to be a bit sensible. I know the two are not exactly the same, but you can't have it both ways. I do think VAR is a bit of a dickhead thing, and VAR is stupid. And I'm not really understanding how, again, I don't even think Vardy's was a sending off, but just in terms of consistency, I don't understand where some of these things are going. Did Kelechi Iheanacho get a yellow card? If he didn't, referee, what are you doing? But that red card changed the game, because he said to himself, Roger said to himself, you know what, Arsenal, you know, they're tired, they're man down, we've got nothing to lose here, we're walking away with no points. So what did he say? Naturally, he said, Bennett, come off. He said, Bennett, come off. He took off Bennett, and people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, put you back. So yeah, he took off Bennett. I don't know why I thought they had a red card, but he took off Bennett and he more went with a 4-4-2. Let's just do that. Yeah, he went with a 4-4. He went more with a 4-3-3 or 4-4-2 or whatever you want to call it. But you saw Damari Gray. He's taking off a centre half now, people, and they're pushing up. In fact, they're pushing us. They want to get this equaliser. They're pushing us, really. They've got a high line. You know, we're under pressure. You saw that. We're on football similar to the first 10 minutes. The ball is just being recycled and going straight back to Leicester, people, in my opinion. And like I said, you know, we're down to 10 men. It's the last 9 minutes. Leicester are kind of having decent possession and decent chances. He's taken off Bennett. He's put on Damari Gray. You know, Damari Gray's crossed the ball. And like I said, people, you've got to be aware of runners off the ball. You know, we've got to be prepared to deal with crosses, which I feel we did well today. But off the ball, you've got to stop that cross. And equally, you've got to be aware of runners, people. And we're not aware of Jamie Vardy. We're not aware. We're not aware. Bellerin and Mustafi are not aware. The ball comes in. It's too late. It's 1-1. It's a lovely goal. One criticism I will say as well, people, is set pieces. Now, we did all right in set pieces. I think we did well in the air. I think generally we defended well, apart from the couple of incidences. But just from learning after previous games, I believe in the first half, it's just come to me now, there was an incidence of a quick taken corner. And it eventually came to nothing. I think Martinez made a big save, but we switched off, and we should have learned that against Brighton. On the topic of Martinez, I think he made some important saves, and I also feel he was good off his line. I actually feel Kasper Schmeichel was very good for Leicester with his decision making. Leicester was still aggressive. They still attacked us within the context. They really didn't change much. They went with a back three, but like I showed you, Sayunchi was more or less playing as a left back. He wasn't going forward. He weren't trying to go past the halfway line, but it was more or less the same stuff. And to be fair, you know, maybe Brendan Rodgers learns, because on a different day it could be different. Going to go down in them situations when you I know we played 3 at the back in the previous game, but when you kind of I think from Leicester's perspective, they probably thought about Arsenal too much before the game and the threat we hold. Obviously, when you go a goal down, it's always difficult in that position. Do you take off a centre half? Do you go back to 4 at the back and flood the midfield? What do you do? I do think Arteta tried to manage out the game. To be fair with you, brought on Joe, trying to give us some energy and stuff like that. His hands were kind of tied with. I didn't agree with Eddie coming on. I'm not criticising him for bringing him on in the red, but I felt we needed a Pepe, because I felt when these lot were coming on, I feel we were under a lot of pressure by Leicester, in that they having the majority of possession, and we needed an outball. And obviously Pepe's strengths are, you know, standing someone up 1v1. He might give their defence and Sayunchi, who's tiring, something to think about, and we might be able to potentially break. I thought, you know, if you're going to take off Laka, Aubameyang looked tired as well, but move Aubameyang inside, Saka pull out to the left, and then you've got Pepe. That was the only criticism I've really got of Arteta in that game, really and truly. I didn't understand Eddie coming on. I didn't think I could understand it, but I didn't think it was a game for him. Other than that, it's the same old, same old. You have to be able to see out leads. You have to be able to manage a game. You have to be able to get over the line when you're down. And that's 14 draws this season. God knows how many points we've lost from winning positions. It is what it is, people. I mean, look, up until the 15 minutes leading up to the red card, like I was saying about being under pressure, Leicester had 75% of the possession. Leicester had 53% possession in the first half and 72 in the second half, making it 62 overall. So yeah, we really struggled to really dominate the ball and stuff like that, in my opinion, collectively throughout the game. It's not really Arteta's fault, but it highlights the task he has at hand. Since he's taken over, Arsenal have dropped 12 points from winning positions in the Premier League. Only Bournemouth for 13 have given up more in the same period, and that's not. You don't want to be with Bournemouth on that, because look where they are in the table, borderline relegation. We know Vardy was always going to score in this game. We know he likes to score against Arsenal. That's now his 10th goal against us in 10 appearances. Very much a certified gunman. You know, he's 33 and he shows no signs of slowing down. Incredible footballer, considering, you know, he was playing Premier League football at 27. He's now 33. You know, he's scored over 100 goals now, technically, I believe, in the Prem. There must be 102 or 103 or something like that. He's a centurion. He's done his thing. For Arsenal, obviously harsh circumstances, but we've got 5 red cards this season, which is more than any Premier League team. And I'm sure when you look at all of the red cards, is there potentially something we could be doing better and differently? Is there something we could be doing potentially better and differently? You know, Bukayo Saka's got 12 assists in all competitions. Only Kevin De Bruyne and Alexander-Arnold have more than him. So we've done decent, people. But in relation to the preview, I mean the tactical review, I've got nothing more to say. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm out.